A little louder. It's 4 o'clock and I'm going to call the meeting to order for the February 25th TLA board meeting. First order of business is a roll call, and everyone is here in person or virtually except for Jason. So may I have a motion to excuse Jason's absence?
So moved.
All right. Looking around, I see no residents that are here to speak. So that matter is moot for right now. We have a consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Second?
Second.
Any objection? Okay. First order of business is a report from the club by its president, Mark Lassner, who I understand has to leave early to go coach lacrosse.
Take me with you.
Yay.
So that is true, and we have a great team at Calvary Baptist. If you ever want to get out and see a good high school game,
That's for sure.
Thank you, Patty. So I did jot down a few points to pass along. Happy to take any questions, at any time. So the club had its board meeting on January 31st. Seems like a long time ago. We covered a lot of interesting topics. We always review the real estate situation in our community, and in general, the real estate listing stats are moving in a positive or an improving trend. So that's what we look for, all of us. Prices, number of homes for sale, etc. Club membership for 2024 exceeded budget in total. It's interesting, in tennis, it's flat. Actually, one or two members under our budget, so tennis is not growing at this stage. Golf, new joins are outpacing athletic for the first time in a long time, and as we know, they're much more expensive initiation fees, but we're getting more golf members. Our financial position as we ended up the year, very healthy on all our key metrics. I won't take you through all the metrics, but the three that we've been focused on is our transfer to capital, which funds our large projects. So we exceeded our budget there. We exceeded our net initiation fees significantly and ended the year in the strongest cash position, cash on hand that the club's been in forever. That cash is already designated to be spent, so it's not like it's just sitting there, although it's invested properly right now. Within the 2024 financials, we had the storm, right? And that storm cost us approximately $400,000 in various lost revenue, damaged parts of clubhouses, etc. But still, we were able to absorb that and did well. So I'll stop there, take a breath. If there's any questions on 2024.
Any questions?
So 2025 outlook. It's a tough act to follow, but we have budgeted continued growth and strength. We do have two large capital projects that I've mentioned in the past. I'll just touch on them very briefly. We have the Oak Ridge Golf Course renovation, which is underway, and it's slightly ahead of budget, so that's good news. It's very dependent on the weather, so as long as the weather is not too much rain, etc., we expect to open the course in early to mid-October. Very excited about that. Franklin Creek. The Franklin Creek campus is really three projects in one, and that will not begin at the earliest until May. And that's pending regulatory review, which we haven't even submitted yet. We're still working on drawings and budgeting, etc. So that we all need to just keep in touch on that, and but right now we don't see any reason why we cannot get shovels in the ground in May. One thing that we did as a result of the storm in the January meeting is we discussed, based on some members' requests to look at it, we reviewed the possibility of installing industrial standby generators at different parts of the club. I think this is a topic that's come up in the past at the club and probably throughout the community. I know it's come up in our own home. We thought about getting our own generator, right? So we looked at the cost, and it's very large amounts of capital, and we decided against the cost benefit for the few days. You know, this snowstorm is a very rare event. It'd be nice to have. At this point in time, we've decided not to invest in those, and we're in the process of putting out a research paper to the membership to explain the reasoning behind that. Moving right along, we signed a stormwater consulting agreement with TLA to analyze each entity's burden on the system, and that work is in process, and I imagine you'll hear more about that here. We discussed changes to our club's board communication strategy, and so we're working on all of those. We're trying to be more concise with our messaging, more town halls, and small group meetings with our members, and refreshing our club website. They'd be the four main focuses for our communication improvements. And then community cooperation. These are things that have taken up some time this first 5 weeks of the year. Where the Community Leadership Council, we just had a meeting. We met last week. It seems like a long time ago, right? We budgeted an hour and a half and spent 2 hours. So I think that's an indicator. We got into it. We really discussed good topics and had a good sharing of information, and we'll be coming out with a little joint communication shortly. The TLA board invited the club for the first time, I understand, in a long time, maybe even ever, to participate in strategic planning workshops. And I was lucky to be part of that, and I learned a lot, and I think we shared a lot of good information, so I guess more to come on that. And then, of course, the club has some fun stuff coming up, and I just wanted to mention that we have the World Pickleball Tour this weekend. That's for amateurs, it's not professional players, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have the Club Car Corner Ferry, first week in April, and we have the Savannah Tennis Challenger at the end of April, April 21 through 27th. It's a club update. Happy to take any questions. Yes, sir.
Mark, Stephen, I think Stephen mentioned at the volunteers dinner, or the new members dinner, the new software, collaborative software you guys are using, and I can't remember the name of it. I wrote it down, I can't find it.
No, excuse me, but just because we are being streamed, I don't think people can necessarily hear you. Mark may, but if you could speak up a little louder.
Sorry. The collaborative software that the club is now using to document committee minutes and things like that. What's the name of that?
Yes, that's called Bell's Board. Bell's Board. It's a
BLL.
ring a bell, but BELLES board, and that's the product name.
Okay.
And it's a club industry board document management tool.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mark? Good luck with your players.
All right.
Stay away from that little hard ball.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you. New business. Staff reports, I guess, Carl.
Yeah, the one thing I want to say is we have our annual meeting tomorrow at the Palmetto Ballroom at 7 o'clock. So we will have a report after that, but we certainly invite the community to that meeting so we can focus on what we accomplished last year and kind of a look ahead at this year. So that's the big thing that we want to do, and hopefully we'll get some good conversation with that. Anybody have any questions for me on any topics that aren't otherwise on the agenda? No? Okay, Jessica, let's talk about some financials.
The financial information will be as of January 2025. At the end of January, total cash equaled 2.3 million and investments 10.3 million. This is our lowest peak of cash, and those balances have already begun to climb with assessment payments coming in through February. We did earn $60,620 in interest in the month of January, and our cash and investment balance at the end of January 2025 was $560,000 more than where we were in January 2024. I want to mention that we do take the opportunity in January to spread our budgets accordingly for what information that we know now. When we placed those budgets and we spread those budgets last year, that was October. So if we have any new information, we take the opportunity in January. So you're going to see less variances in this month, and hopefully throughout the year with the information we've been given, we've put that into place. Operating revenue was $13,000 less than our budget, $111,000 more than January of 2024. Operating expenses, $6,000 more than budget and $200,000 more than January of 2024. The main variance in this January to last January is the purchase of a vacuum trailer and also staffing expenses. Net expense over revenue equaled $37,000, which was $20,000 more than our budget. Some of these main drivers on the revenue side, our service agreements performed less than what we planned for in last year's budget after those got finalized at year end. Our rental income, this is mainly due to less cell phone tower lease revenue than what we had seen previously and what we planned. And the other category, speeding violations, performed more than our budget. When we planned our 25 budget, we planned for that category to be less in revenue, hoping that with those speeding violations, it would change behavior. We did see more than what we anticipated in January 2025. On the expense side, our staffing expenses performed more than budget, mainly due to an additional premium for workers' comp that we received in December, which changed our accruals through next year, and that renews in April. The 2025 capital reserve expenditures through January, we had spent $61,000 out of the $5.8 million budget. 89% on roads, 2% on storm drains, 9% on bridges, structures, and equipment. Our members' equity at the end of January equaled $13 million. That's a $260,000 increase since January 1st. Accounts receivable aging, as of today, we have 22 non-assessment accounts with a past due balance. 5 of those are with our collection attorney or in litigation. And we have 7 assessment accounts that have a past due balance from 2024, 1 with 2024, 2023. 2 of those are in probate and or closing, and another 2 of those have reached out to our collection attorney, and we did receive 1 payment through our collection attorney since turning that over at the beginning of this year. I do want to give a brief update. Our 2024 annual audit is complete. We did receive an unmodified audit opinion, which is a clean audit opinion for the association for 2024. If you have not paid your 2025 assessments, they are due by March 1st, $2,518. And as Carl mentioned, the annual meeting will be held tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at Palmetto. Any other questions?
Any questions for Jessica? Thank you. When you said that the monies were spread out, you're saying that the dollars that were budgeted may be reallocated month by month?
We don't reallocate month by month, we do it one time.
Okay.
But that's exactly what I mean. It is
Yeah.
spread monthly, and we look at that P&L monthly to look at the budget versus the actual. You all see that in your finance packet as a roll-up year to date, but finance staff looks at that monthly. Yes.
So we won't do that again, so if we have variances by the month going forward,
get to
she'll
talk about
explain
it.
them the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yes.
Aaron.
I'm happy to be here today to present to you the Community Development Department statistics for the month of January. To start off with, there we go. We'll go over our permitting activity. We had 113 permits issued versus 92 this same time in 2024. So we are seeing a continued increase in permitting activity. We'll see if that holds steady for the year. We did project a similar amount of permitting activity this year as what we saw throughout 2024. In terms of those cases that went to, to the Architectural Review Committee, we had 28 in January versus 23 and 2024, we have seen that this increase is carrying forward through. So we may have more applications going in front of ARC this year than we saw last year. Most of those may be cases due to variances or other more challenging or complex projects coming forward. In terms of our construction activity, we did have 2 new homes complete, so we have 2 so far this year. We finished out last year with 27 new homes, so this rounds us out to almost 30 homes in the previous, 13 months. We had 2 new home starts, so we still have 16 active construction sites, 5 major improvements, 66 minor improvements, 26 dumpsters, pods, and porta-johns, and then 14 permit extensions. And as we discussed, those dumpsters, pods, and porta-johns, that more than half of those are for interior renovations, significant interior renovations. So that's showing we've still got some steady growth in that area. In terms of trends, guess what I happen to choose? Generators. So we are seeing a lot of generator applications coming forward. So we wanted to take a look at that and see how it compared to previous years. Obviously, last year we had a significant increase with 42 that were permitted in 2024. We've already had 13 in 2025. We've had a vast amount presented to ARC all throughout February. So we expect to see this continue. If it projected forward at the rate that it is right now, we'd have something like 104. That it may reach that number, I'm not really certain. It kind of depends on how much the distance from the storm, if we start to see some of those
No more
that
snowstorms.
demand
Yeah.
taper off, but even if it does, I would expect that we might see something between 42 and 100. So that's all good information. However, it is something that Sean and I have discussed that in future storms, if there are times when people should leave, having a generator is a reason why people tend to stay. So this may result in us having more people stay behind at storms when that may put a toll on certain things.
So if we are seeing, I'm personally considering this because I don't want to be ever again in the dark. I'm wondering, as the TLA, if there's any opportunity to look at economies of scale and seeing about an agreement with a generator company to do what we've done with a very small thing with the Ratios.
Sean,
I would just say be very careful in that. We've done programs like that. We did a pine straw program. We did a tree removal program, and the association tends to be interjected in between the vendor and the homeowner. And then if anything goes wrong with that process, the association is usually to blame. So we can evaluate it. We've done a lot. We got a lot of learnings from other programs we've done, most of which have ended because of that situation.
I can say, while we have many different contractors in installing them, the product that everyone is installing are Generac.
Yeah.
Generac
They got the
generators.
markers.
So I know I'm gonna invest in generators. Based on this information. Okay, moving on to properties with violations. So we had 5 violations issued last month versus 25 the same time last year. We were down an inspector who was out due to an injury, so that is some of the reason why our numbers are down, because we saw that our courtesy notices were also down at 6 versus 18. And then in terms of summary of the inspection activity, we had 205 ARC site visits or inspections, 508 proactive inspections, 18 follow-ups, and those are on active cases. So there were no violations that were resolved this month, but I do expect to see those numbers pop up in February. In terms of the violations that we found in the field, they were split over 3 categories. We had driveway damage at 37%, home maintenance at 37%, and then landscaping at 26%. And due to the hard freeze, we were very generous with allowing people ample time and notice about how to deal with their frozen plants and what to expect in terms of, those lawns and bedded areas coming back to life. So, any questions?
anybody have any questions for Erin? Thank you. Tim, security.
Glad you found what I was looking for. You changed sides on me.
I was thinking there is
In the back corner. Good afternoon, everyone.
No, you're, share with the road button.
Right here?
Yeah. Oh no, you gotta minimize that. Minimize your PowerPoint. Minimize your PowerPoint. There you go. I'll go to share. Upper right hand. So don't click leave.
Leave. We're gonna leave.
And then go to your window. Go to window. Up.
Right hand.
No.
This thing used to be so easy, but who changed
That
this?
part hadn't changed.
Here comes Jessica.
Yeah, I should have pulled yours up, I'm sorry.
I have two.
That's fine. Well, that'll be okay that way. That's not how we typically do it, but that'll be okay. Ah, that's good. No, don't click anything else. You're sharing?
Piece of equipment?
Who did you get me from?
Finally.
Success, maybe.
Ah, I see.
It's the one that John, Hornby.
Alright, so overview of January statistics. Teamworks make the dream work, right?
Click on
Click on the PowerPoint too.
with the mouse.
With the mouse.
Yes, we make up
With the mouse, click on it. What are you doing today?
Simon says.
Okay.
Alright, is that in the budget, was it replacing? Alright, January crime statistics, good news, no part one crimes. And the only vandalism reported for the month of January was a service area of the gate appeared to be vandalized. So Guardian Pro statistics, as you can see, Barkham Road at Wickersham, we have moved that, but during January it was there the entire time. 60 in the 41 to 46, 13 in the 47 to 51, and 1 in the 52 to 56 mile an hour. Out of that, residents received, there were 47 residents that received citations, 2 vendors, and 0 employees. Golf cart statistics look pretty good. Again, kind of flat, decrease in the violations issued and unlicensed drivers compared to last year. Warnings and citations overviews. The warnings, of course, went down 2024 74 compared to 2025 when we didn't issue any warnings. Citations were up from 14 to 17, and total fines actually were down $96. January appeals. Appeals committee heard 9 cases. 1 case was for a private property maintenance standard violation, and the remaining 8 cases were speeding violation. All 9 cases were denied, and the fines were upheld. We've already had the February appeals. There were 2 cases. One involved a covenant violation, which actually the appeal was upheld, and then one was a speeding, which was denied and the fine was upheld. Any questions on security?
Anyone have any questions?
I have one question.
Brian.
Could you remind us what the speeding fines are for those different miles per hour?
Yeah, I'd have to pull it. I think it's for 11 and over, I think it's 100, and for 10 and under, it's 50, and then it goes up from there. Yeah.
Anything else for Tim? Thank you.
All right, Sean has the next 3 items. These were talked about extensively at the Public Works Committee as well as the Finance Committee, which both approved these requests. But Sean, if you'll take us through the next 3 items.
All right. And to Carl's point, these have been through the ringer and back in all the committees. So I'll run through them fairly quickly. If you have any questions, just please let me know. If everyone will turn to page 32 within their packets, you'll see a staff report recommending a 3-year contract extension with Brightview Landscape Maintenance for the years of 2025 to 2027. This year we did go out to bid for the landscape services portion of the contract with 2 companies, Brightview Landscape, who has been our current provider, and the Greenery, company based out of the Hilton Head area. Overall, Brightview has had a very positive response from landscape common property maintenance standards, 83.3% in the last community survey for the common areas, and then the gate areas at 89.5%. Overall, we were able to get 2 successful bids back. Greg Freeman, our natural resource manager, did a lot of extensive work working with the greenery and with Brightview to go through and make sure the expectation and understanding the RFPs were there for both organizations, so we could get it as close to an apples to apples comparison between the 2 unit prices. Brightview Landscape was the low bidder. They agreed to 0% increase in 2025, a 5% increase in 26, and a 5% increase in 27. In addition, they agreed to add an additional FTE, pickup truck and dump trailer to help service our street sweeping programs, and also to offset during high storm events the amount of downfall that we receive over the about almost 800 acres of common property that they're responsible for picking up. So that'll add additional services, and again, with no increase in 2025, and then additional increases in 26 and 27. As we said, both the Public Works Committee and the Finance Committee and the Center Island Committee reviewed both of the RFPs and recommended board approval for a contract extension with Brightview Landscapes for the 3-year time period outlined in the report in pages 32 and 33.
Any questions for Sean? And Public Works did approve this, as has Finance.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve the landscape contract?
So moved.
Second. Any objection?
So Sean, I had a little cocktail party on Sunday, and the first question that somebody asked me is why we don't have electric mowers. So I was ready.
No,
Having sat through
that is a good point. One thing that Brightview also agreed, in addition to what actually add on some of the electric blower technology, and so we are going to start testing that in and around our maintenance facilities with our gate crews. So we'll start working through that, and hopefully be a little bit more of the Disney World approach of working but not being seen working or heard working with those blowers. So the mower technology we're still working on, not quite there, but there's a lot of great technologies coming out that we'll continue to evaluate.
Thank you.
Moving on to the bucket truck.
We have a
We had no objections, but I think we need to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor, I'm sorry.
Aye.
all right.
All right, on to bucket truck.
A little bit different than we typically approach these projects. It's on page 34. You'll see a staff recommendation to approve not to exceed budget amount of $90,000 to purchase a used bucket truck. This is a little bit different because we are purchasing used equipment. We've tried in the past to go out when we're purchasing used equipment and try to negotiate prices, get a unit locked in, and by the time we go through our 30-day process, even with earnest money, the contractor or the companies will sell if they have another buyer that's interested in that unit. So what we're doing here is asking for not to exceed the budget amount, $90,000, to be able to go out then and find a secondary used bucket truck to replace the current bucket truck which we have in our fleet. The unit we're going to be looking for is a F550 chassis with Alltech AT41G lift system. This system gives us about 5 more foot of clearance or height and about another 5 foot of reach compared to the unit that we currently have. One good thing about being able to go out and find in the used market is that the utility companies, think of the Comcast, Georgia Powers, power companies all throughout the country, utilize these type of equipment. They typically outfit them with a lot of different lighting, generation, all kinds of operational things that typically we won't have on a bucket truck. And when we purchase them used through those venues, we typically get a much better truck. The other thing that's kind of a benefit to us is these trucks typically will have a little bit higher mileage, which isn't as big of an issue for us just because we're staying predominantly on the island with the truck. So we get a newer truck, newer lift, a little bit higher mileage. And I think our previous was out of a utility company, a power company out of Kansas that we purchased. So we're looking for board approval to approve the budget amount up to $90,000. We'll also be working on selling or trading in the unit that we have. And so we'll look for board approval to move forward in that direction.
And this was also approved by Public Works and Finance.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve. Second. Any questions for Sean?
So Sean, the club also bought a new truck, or is buying a new truck with grappler, but it's not
Yeah,
as
disaster
big.
recovery.
Yeah, which they said they were very happy to share with you.
Yes, we've already had discussions, and they were trying to sell me their crawler unit versus. But we have been in discussions, and we've been reaching out to some of our vendors because they're also looking to purchase used.
Yeah.
So they were for some of the contacts for our vendors to see if they could purchase something directly off them.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Last but not least,
All right, page
Sweeper.
35 of your package, you'll see a capital and staff report recommending the purchase of a Timco 4035 sweeper. We've been working, our sweeper program is on roughly a 10-day cycle. We typically run 2 sweepers continually throughout the year. During peak times, we'll add a 3rd sweeper in, which typically in the spring when the live oaks are shedding, and then in the fall with all the pine straw and the oaks shedding again, and any of our deciduous trees. The unit that we'll be trading in is our older Timco 435 unit, which has been in the fleet since about 2013, I believe. We went out to Perry, Georgia staff and met with multiple different vendors at an APWA equipment show. We had those vendors bring units back to the island and actually demoed a lot of these units right here on site, had our operators operate them, and went through the process of evaluating and making the best decision of what would fit best into our operations. The Timco 435 was the unit that was selected. You can see we also evaluated the 600 series. We looked at a couple of mechanical sweepers that were produced by Kirchner, and we also looked at the Ravos, which are the units that we also have on site right now. They're kind of the smaller, more compact units, kind of look like a Zamboni. Of those units, we're making the recommendation to purchase the Timco 435 from Waste Built. Total project cost will be $239,894. We are looking at trying to sell the existing Timco we have on the secondary market. There is a few companies that are in the process of restoring those units and then selling them back to smaller companies that may do like parking lots or things of that nature. So the most value as far as trade-in to Waste Built, they're not really interested in the trade-in. Therefore, we're going to try to work through to get kind of more bang for a buck, if you will, and be able to sell it to some of these companies that are doing the restorations of those units. And so that'll be a separate cost savings there too.
and approved by both Public Works and Finance.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I have a motion to approve the sweeper purchase?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions for Sean? Any questions? All in favor of purchasing the sweeper for $239,894?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any other questions for Sean? Thank you.
Thank you.
Board committee reports. Starting with Rosemary.
So, as you heard, we had our audit committee meeting, subcommittee meeting this last month with our auditors, and we spent a good bit of time going through everything. I think it's always important to recognize that this includes the Landings financials, the Landings company's financials as well, and we discussed those at length. Obviously Virginia Lassner, who's the new finance chair, there is really digging in, and I think will be a great addition to this. She's attending our meetings as well, so we were happy with the clean audit report, and so that was number one. And number two, we had our investment committee, and Jessica has created a really wonderful ladder for our CDs and has been getting absolutely the maximum that we could possibly get in terms of our interest rates. As of today, she got a call from the company that we deal with most, who said time to really look at it. Things are going to go down. So she made some suggestions today, and we're constantly going to be looking at it. But it was a good meeting, and we are in a very good position in terms of the dates for all of these and the amount of interest that she's managed to garner. That's it.
Any questions for Rosemary?
Did you say that in the call today, the investment folks said that the interest rates on the CDs were gonna be going down?
They saw a change overnight on the yields. So
10-year
they're-
yield went down today.
Yeah.
On the treasuries?
Yeah.
Okay, you're just talking treasuries, not
It
CDs.
impacts
Also
the
CDs.
CDs.
And CDs,
Yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah, yeah,
CDs too.
Yeah, okay,
It's like 5 days in a row or something like that.
yeah.
Anything else on finance? Glad to have a non opinion, that's always great. Governance, Marion,
Yes, we have, we approved, we've been discussing this one bylaw, revision for a few months, but we feel comfortable now in asking, the board for approval of this revision to our bylaws, which is, in effect dictated by a change in, state law. And what it provides for is that if there is a delinquent, regular or special assessment, then the voting rights of a member can be suspended. So it changes it from any payment being delinquent to only a regular or special assessment payment. We are all also looking at the wording in our covenants, and we'll be discussing that wording as it relates to this provision with our legal counsel that specializes in HOA law. So I have a recommendation to approve the bylaw revision.
it's set forth on page 4 of the agenda and attachments. It is, as Marianne indicated, dictated by House Bill 220. So I would like we're doing the bylaws because we can do the bylaws. The covenants is a different issue, so we'll deal with that, but state law is going to govern anyhow. So I would like a motion to approve the language for section 1.6 that's set forth on page 4.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Item number 2 from governance.
The GM transition plan is, pardon my voice, attached and was approved during our February governance committee meeting. It is our version of a succession plan for executive leadership. And we have decided to place this document, I believe, in the board policy manual. And so, Patty, we're looking for a motion to approve this transition plan.
May I have a motion to approve the GM transition plan as set forth in what has been distributed? So moved. Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion.
So, we all recognize that this could be a work in progress and could evolve, but what we wanted to try to do was formalize that we had a plan and a strategy. And so I think everybody recognized this might need to be revised from year to year, but we wanted to get some formalization in place. So.
Exactly. Thank you for adding that. That is the very reason why we tried to update it and make it consistent with what exists now. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objection? The final one, which was approved by security and then by governance, Marion.
Yes, as you can, attached again in your materials are the revised commercial rules and regulations that were approved during the February governance committee meeting, after obviously discussion at security and discussion at governance and subsequent revisions ultimately made by security.
That too is set forth in your packet, and may I have a motion to approve the revised commercial rules and regulations?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Strategic water.
Before you go to that, can I just ask Carl, that we've been getting a lot of stuff from CAI about something that I should have spent more time on, that our council is now looking at You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, it's probably the Corporate Transparency
Yes,
Act,
it's
like this.
We're
We don't
not
fall
subject
under
to
that
it.
because of the size of our staff and our budget, we don't
Okay,
fall, we're not
okay,
subject
so
to
we
it.
shouldn't worry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
And it has been up and down and.
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
may-
injunctions and lifted
Yeah, that's right,
injunctions
that's
and
right,
back and
yeah.
forth,
And
yes.
it may apply to some of the other homeowners associations, but it does not apply, given our
Good.
size, to the Landings Association.
Another comment, it does apply to Telco and, the Landings Association will be referenced in their filings.
Okay. So tangentially, we have a stake in that. Since we are
The
telco,
Landings Real Estate Company has a stake in it, yes.
but since we own telco,
We have a stake. For water, we did not meet in the month of February, so there's nothing to report, but just let you know that we're meeting March 19th and expect to have a good input and good discussion coming up.
And we'll have a table at the annual meeting also, right?
Yes.
So we'll have something about that as well. There's that annual meeting plug again.
Yes.
great, I know you're making progress with the website, the one from Norfolk, Virginia.
I'll be sharing these once Carl and Patty have a look at it. We've added some local pictures of the app and some flooding pictures from previous storms.
Perfect.
And this will be circulated after our March 19th meeting for people to volunteer. Looking forward to a broad number of residents to volunteer. If there's low participation, the results will be low. So if you're talking about it, please try to generate interest in tracking.
Higher participation means better stormwater management.
Which means fewer of your roads flooding and we won't be able to get through. Hopefully we'll get some uptake on that.
So far, I've had good signals of cooperation from a number of groups, so I'm expecting that there will be good
Is there
participation.
any value in mentioning it tomorrow?
Well, they will have a table tomorrow, but we're gonna really launch it when it comes out. When it's ready to go after the March thing, we'll
It'll be in the
Just for
journal,
people.
it'll be on the Friday communications.
and we can do standalones, we can do the
Okay.
exit signs.
There'll be a number of tactical ways to get
Right.
the message out.
It's just once a year when we have this opportunity to have a lot of people all in one room who actually have to listen rather than read, which apparently they can't.
CCA banquet also is a good opportunity.
Yes, have had a commitment from them as well.
How about the new neighbors welcome luncheon in September? That's another one.
We can talk about that. Sometimes there's specific requirements you have to meet to have a table there, so see what their current rules and regs are. Other comments by any of the directors? Anybody have anything else? I just have a few. One of them Carl's already mentioned, and that is the annual meeting is tomorrow night. So, one more time, hopefully people will attend and can find out what we have been doing and what we're looking forward to doing. And speaking of going forward, we have been working hard on the strategic plan. We have taken survey information that has been collected in the past. We took stakeholder input from 2025. There were focus groups, 6 focus groups held, 2 during the day, 2 at night, 2 remote, to try and accommodate our residents' requests for a variety of opportunities. And we have had a 2-day strategic planning meeting with input and participation from the club and the real estate company, as Mark Lassner indicated. And there will be a little bit more about that tomorrow at the annual meeting. It is a work in progress, and so we will then be meeting in the coming weeks to put more meat to the bones, if you will, and talking about objectives and action steps. But come to the meeting tomorrow night and learn more. We've had as Mark again indicated, the Landings Leadership Council met last week. We're optimistic that we can truly make a difference for the betterment of our whole community. We are going to be meeting monthly, at least in the get-go for that. And finally, if you want to again learn more, come tomorrow night. But we have some very active task forces being operating on community paths, which is a concern everybody has expressed in the surveys and during the input on the strategic plan, as well as communications and a website design. So those are things that we have going, moving forward. Anything else anyone has before we adjourn to executive session? Thank you, everybody.